For learning the concepts of computer, subscribe this channel. What are the components of computer? Let's start. So, as you know, a computer is an electronic device that accepts the data and instructions from the user and then process them according to a set of instructions and then stores the information and produces meaningful results. So, we should know that to perform these tasks, a computer consists of several important components, and each component perform a specific function, and all components work together to make the computer system efficient, accurate, and reliable. There, if we talk about the components of computer, so there are following major components of computers such as input unit, CPU, which stands for central processing unit, memory unit, storage unit, and output unit. And this is the diagram you can see of components of computer. There is several other diagram on internet regarding this topic. You can also check them, but I draw that. So let's move to input unit and discuss that. Input unit. It is the component of a computer that accepts the data, instruction, and commands from the user, and also it serves as a communication bridge between the user and computer system. Apart from that, input unit converts the information that entered by the user into a machine readable form so that the CPU can understand and process it. And we can say that without input devices, the computer cannot receive the information from the outside world. Here are some examples of input devices such as keyboard, mouse, barcode, scanner, etc. And in simple words, if we talk about the functions of input unit, we can say that it accepts the data and instructions, and it converts the data into machine language. It sends the information to the CPU, and it helps the user to communicate with the computer, and it provides data for processing. Now let's talk about these examples. First is keyboard. It's a widely used input device, and it is used to enter number, letters, symbols, and commands into the computer system. As we know that many of you also use it in your daily basis. So it contains different groups of keys such as function keys, numeric keys, control keys, special keys. Just see the picture of keyboard on internet, you will get that. So next is mouse. It's a pointing device which is used to control the movement of cursor on the screen, and it allows the user to select any file or to open applications or to drag objects and perform various operations through a graphical interface. And next is barcode reader. It's an input device that reads the printed barcodes and then converts them into digital data. It uses laser or optical technology to scan the barcode. Apart from that, barcode readers are commonly used in supermarket, shopping malls, warehouse, etc. Let's move to our next component, explanation. CPU, Central Processing Unit. Before discussing the CPU, there are some other examples of input devices such as scanner, microphone, webcam, joystick, touch screen, I mean like in mobile phone, tablet, or in a ATM machine, you use that on regular basis. So at least we should know about a scanner. So guys, a scanner is an input device which is used to convert the printed documents or images and photographs into the digital form, and it captures the information from paper and store it in an electronic file in the computer. And scanner is widely used in schools, offices, hospitals, banks and businesses to preserve the documents and reduce paperwork. Now let's move to central processing unit. So as we know, central processing unit is also known as the brain of computer because it controls and performs all processing operations, and it receives the data from input unit, then process it according to the instructions, and then send the result to an output unit. We can say that CPU controls all the hardware and software operations and ensures that all the components work together properly. Apart from that, we can say that speed and performance largely depends on the power and efficiency of the computer. And if we talk about its functions, so it helps in processing the instructions, performing calculations, and also performing logical operations. And it also controls all the activities, as I said earlier, and it can coordinates all the components in the computer. Also, it helps in produces the meaningful results. Now, if we talk about parts of CPU, there are three main parts of CPU: ALU, CU, and registers. So, ALU stands for Arithmetic Logic Unit, and it performs all the arithmetic and logical operations inside the computer, and it performs calculations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and divisions. ALU also performs logical operations such as less than, greater than, equal to, etc. And these operations helps the computer to make decisions and solve problems. We can say that ALU plays a very important role in scientific calculations also, and in business applications, or in accounting software. And every mathematical operations performed by a computer passes through the ALU, means arithmetic logic unit. Now let's move to CU, which stands for control unit. Control unit. So guys, control unit controls and coordinates all the activities of the computer system, and it acts as a supervisor that directs every component regarding what task to perform in a system, and it fetches the instructions from the memory and then interprets them and then sends the control signal to various parts of the computer, and it ensures that all the instructions are executed in a correct order. Apart from that, if we talk about registers, so they are very small and very high speed memory locations which present inside the CPU, and they temporarily stores the data, instructions, addresses and intermediate results during processing. Apart from that, because registers are located inside the processor, they provide the extremely fast access to information, which reduces the time to complete any task. Next is memory unit. So memory unit stores data, instructions and information which required during processing. So guys, before explaining it further, I should remind that these were the parts of CPU, I mean control unit registers and ALU that I explained. So now I am moving to next component, which is memory unit. So as I was saying, it helps the CPU to access the information quickly and efficiently. Apart from that, memory is one of the most important component because CPU cannot perform any operation without instructions and data. So if we talk about its types or division, so memory unit is divided into two parts: primary memory and secondary memory. And when I showed you the diagram, that time must you have see the storage unit, which can also be known as secondary storage unit. So let's first discuss about primary memory here. So as we know, memory unit is divided into primary memory and secondary memory, which can also known as storage unit. This will be explained separately. So let's first discuss about primary memory. So guys, primary memory is directly connected to the CPU and it stores the data which is currently being used by the computer, and it provides very high speed for accessing information. Before I explaining further, I want to remind one thing. Here I am only giving a brief explanation about these topics. I will explain each topic, I mean this and other topics, in separate video also, with much better explanation and more broad explanation. So let's talk about RAM, which stands for random access memory. It's a temporary memory that stores the currently running programs and active data, and it is called a volatile memory. Why? Because its contents are lost when the power is switched off, and it we can say that it can be its a disadvantage, but it it is its own necessary function to remain in a better condition. Apart from that, it provides better speed even when the multiple files or applications are open. And there are different types of RAM such as SRAM, DRAM, and next is ROM, which stands for read-only memory, and it stores the permanent instructions which are required to start the computer, and it is a non-volatile memory because it retains the data even when the power is turned off or switched off, and it contains the firmware and startup instructions which helps the computer to boot properly. And if we talk about its types, those are PROM, EPROM and EEPROM. Next is cache memory. Cache memory is an extremely fast memory which is located between the CPU and RAM, and it stores frequently used data and instructions so that the CPU can access them quickly, and it also reduces the processing time and also improves the overall system performance. So I explained all the points even if you can't see these lines, but I hope you see those lines. So let's move to next point: storage unit. So storage unit stores the data, programs and files and information permanently, and unlike the primary memory, Secondary storage retains the data even when the power is turned off or switched off, and it provides large storage capacity for operating systems, software applications, videos, photographs, documents, and other important information that a user wants to store in their system. You can think about a simple home computer which we used, if you have one, like we store our normal data in that. And if we talk about storage unit examples, so these are hard disk, which all which also known as SDD, I mean it's short form, solid state drive SSD, pen drive, also memory card, external hard disk, compact disk, DVD. These are some examples of storage unit. Let's understand what is hard disk. So it is a magnetic storage device that stores the data on a rotating magnetic disk which called platers, and in these read write heads move on the platers to access the data, and it provides large storage capacity at a relatively low cost as compared to SSD, but it is slower than SSD. Next is SSD. So it uses flash memory technology to store the data, but unlike hard disk, SSD contains no moving parts, and it provides very high speed with low power consumption, silent operations, and it also provides excellent durability. Also, SSD reduces the boot time and improves the application loading speed. Apart from that, it is commonly used in modern laptops and high performance computers. And if we talk about pen drive, it is a small portable storage device that uses flash memory technology, and it allows the user to store and transfer files between computers. And if pen drives are easy to carry and available in various storage capacities. I think I don't need to explain it further. Many of them you already know about these components. So let's move to our final section. So output unit. Guys, output unit presents the processed information to the user, and it converts the machine readable results into a human readable forms that they can understand, which means we can understand. And without output device, user would not able to be understand the results that produced by the computer, and it plays a very important role because the final purpose of the computer system is to provide a useful information to the user. And if we talk about the functions of output unit, it displays the processed information, it produces visual output, printed output, audio output, etc. And it also helps the users to understand results. And there are flowing examples of output devices such as monitor, printer, projector, plotter, and so on. If we talk about monitor, it is the most commonly used output device of a computer. It can display text, images, graphics, videos, and animations on the screen. It also receives processed information from the CPU and present it visually to the users. Modern computers provides high resolutions with better color quality and lower power consumptions. If we talk about its types, they are CRT monitors, LCD monitor, LED monitor, and other also. So let's see some other examples also of output unit. Printer. It is also an output device which produces information on the paper, and it converts the soft copies into hard copies which can be stored and reused later. They are widely used in schools, offices, banks, hospitals, and businesses for printing documents, photographs, reports, etc. They are flowing kind of works a printer done can do. And if we talk about its types, so those are dot matrix printer, inkjet printer, laser printer, etc. And next is speaker. It's an audio output device that converts the digital signals into the sound, and it allows the user to listen music, videos, voice recordings, games, and online classes, etc. We can say that speaker plays an important role in multimedia applications and entertainment. So guys, this is all for today. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you.